entrepreneur, operates a business called Outdoor Kitchen. Outdoor Kitchen Chef. That's OK Chef Zimbabwe, and he's in the building. Hello, sir.
What's up, Eva? How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, nice. Good to see you always.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into it. We started a series last week, yeah. And you said because it's Women's Month, we're going to be focusing on women and the food we should eat and whatnot. And last week when I saw your topic, I was like, huh? Yeah, because so imagine somebody sends a topic, and today we're going to be talking about fat. Nothing more. What are you talking about? Fat? What are you talking about? Right. But then we talked about the good fat, the bad fat, how many times we should eat meat in a week, and how much we need of it, and all that jazz. So today we're focusing on salt.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, like the topic in the month is just to enhance flavor in all of our cooking, right? Because we're saying women are the flavor ravers, aren't it?
Of course, flavor ravers.
Even a flavor. And you see, those four elements for me are just priceless if you understand them. That fact that we talked about salt today, and then we're going to talk about some acid and a little bit of some herbs and fresh stuff in the last episode. So today's unsung hero is salt. Can you imagine the world without it? Like, I don't think it's possible, right?
Of course not.
Yeah, like it's actually quite unbelievably a blessing to be able to have salt in our culinary world, you know? And like I think today we'll try and touch up on like the most important elements, I think, about how to use salt, when to use salt, how much of it to use, you know, what's important about it, what you need to understand if you want to make better dishes, healthier dishes in the kitchen and the like. So yeah, I want to start by saying, guys, make sure you know your different types of salt.
Okay.
And I know this is maybe not so much a thing, but I tell you, here in Zimbabwe anyway, I tell you what, there's like over 4,000 different types of salt out there, and especially like in parts of the world where they've actually really indulged and gone deep into understanding which salt is best for which dish and which salt is prepared best with, you know, some salt is prepared over years. You know, there's this paste called miso, so they extract salt from it in Japan, and sometimes, you know, the preparation of the traditional or the original element of which takes about 3 years. You know, even soy sauce. You know, soy sauce is one of those Japanese delicates that I think
made over time. Yeah,
you know, and you can't jump the process of, you know, excluding salt in your dish, right? And so you shouldn't jump the process of selecting salt in the dishes that we do choose to cook. And I know in Zimbabwe we've got the table salt that we all know about, you know, iodized fine table salt. And then we've got that pink Himalayan salt.
Yes.
That's also quite a treat. I think that's a much healthier alternative. You know, and it's naturally occurring from salt beds that have been, you know, seabeds rather, that have been existing and have dried up in the past, and it's this natural sort of mineral that, you know, just adds so much flavor to the dish and is actually that much healthier. And then of course sodium agodo, you know, yeah, easier go on and they you have to use it like this and like that. And so we are going to touch up on maybe the historical significance is pretty much done, because, you know, we say, we can't live without. And at some point it used to be a currency. Imagine the first person that decided, guys, and that's the thing, like salt is a flavor enhancer. It actually helps different types of foods bring out their actual or natural flavors better. You know, if you actually have this if you have salt in the dish, and if you don't, then sometimes you might not even taste anything. And we are common you know, to that. Indagara nshinzi na mom zongo, hey, una ruoko rwesauti chichichi. ndinobikira mavhete ona
a little bit.
Customer angu anenge ari conscious of the fact that, you know, you don't want the food to be too salty. You know, a lot of sodium is not so good for you, and that's what salt consists of. It's actually an element called sodium chloride by scientific reference. and a lot of it is not good for you, right? So how much salt? How much salt to put? Let us talk about that. It depends now what you're cooking. Okay, so meat obviously needs more salt than vegetables, right? And then this also goes to a debate where we're talking about how long are you cooking this thing for, and I'll give you just that same reference where we have meat and we have vegetables.
Yes.
So actually, here's a tip. So guys, kana muri kuteerera kunzoko igara mabata manotsa yakakosha kosha. Pane dzimwe nyama dzinotora time kubika if.
Yes.
And those meats, you also have to understand that the treatment of these types of meats is going to require your time as well. That's why, sometimes you're having the queenies or the women in the house marinating meat for hours before you even start to put it in the cooking element or whatever. And one of the ways to best use salt on certain types of meats, I know short ribs will cook long, oxtail is another one that will cook long. You take your salt, okay?
Okay.
Wabva kubucha wayane nyama yako padini.
Yes.
But uzoti oda ibika chi mangwana. Anditi tora salt yako wototanga kutorunga. Wakutomwaya salt yako munyama yako woputira wodzorera. What it does is it extracts, all the stuff that you don't want in your meat. And sometimes it can be just an excess of moisture or whatever, but it also helps to leave the meat tender. And that's when you get the fall off the bone sort of element and stuff. And I tell you what, it makes a difference. And if you didn't know that,
no, I actually didn't know. I'm actually taking notes.
You have to, these are like those little secrets that actually make the big difference at the end of the day. Because what you can use but because I know how to use it, and I know how to extract the stuff that you actually want from the dishes that you're going to use it in, right? And this is meat. So now we're talking vegetables as an opposite, where you need to know when to salt, right? And how much of it to use, okay? So in this meat one, and that's how I use it liberally, okay? You can just have a go, see what you think is enough. I think just a bit of a nice sprinkle to coat it, because you can always wash it if it's too much at the end, but just before you cook it.
Okay.
And that's a thing too. So it's not such a train smash if you put too much, or if you put too much, it's not a train smash.
Because you can always wash some of it off.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just before you cook it. But the key is to just make sure that when you store your meat away, you've salted it enough already. Okay. And now veggies, for example. I will blanch most of my veggies, so this means just 3 minutes of putting it into hot boiling water, right? And if you see kuti chinchurungo pinda mpoto 3 minutes, then you can put so much salt, all right? Because then again, it's not going to stay in for long enough to absorb all of the salt that's in the water, or for the water itself to lose that water content enough that the salt becomes that much intense. Okay, so yeah, you just need to kind of strike a balance to see how long you're cooking this thing for, so that you can actually tell how much salt to use and how much water. Again, another example, if you're using rice no gonna garampoto maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So you're obviously gonna put less salt in something like that, in the water of which, right?
Because it will absorb
because
more.
It's gonna exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, you get me. Yeah, so that's like a really cool trick that I think we should all learn and sort of start to use. On questions and things that people can ask. This is the time, but you can also just hit us up on WhatsApp. There's a buzzing group that's always talking about food, and I know today's a bit of a sad day, guys, so we lost one of our chefs. She passed on yesterday, I think it was. So the group was sort of passing on messages, condolence messages and stuff. So may her soul rest in peace. She was a fabulous baker. And yeah, guys, feel free to hit me up. Let's join the group. Let's keep the food conversation alive. Let's keep ourselves healthy and active in the kitchen, and sharing all the little tips and tricks.
I'm so sorry about the other chef. May her soul rest in peace. But just a quick question here, Shingi. This is from me, you know. I didn't go to school to train and be a chef like you, but so when it comes to salt, especially when you're making steaks and certain grills, let's say you're making your T-bone steak.
Yes.
Sometimes they tell you, especially if you're going to grill it, they tell you it's better to use coarse salt than your normal fine salt. What's your take on this?
I'm always a fan of coarse salt.
Okay.
Because I use a lot of it. And I think it's because of the salt that I actually have on my hands. So I've got this fancy salt from South Africa that this company just gives me. So, I use a lot of it, and it's coarser than normal salt.
Okay.
And what happens with coarse salt is that most of it is actually more intense. So you tend to use just a little bit, which is again what you want. You don't want to overpower
Does it
the
make
dish.
the flavor any different
It does.
or?
It does. I feel like it actually makes meat more tender, and especially if you actually put it just before you've actually started cooking it. But no one unotanisa kuti unofana kuibva chichi unoisa kwekutanga if anga momuzongo I'll sing over praise of my wrongdoings in the kitchen.
All right.
And one of those is sauti inoiswa kwekutanga handiti hauzoise kwekupedzisira ende munhu haadi kuwedzera sauti yamuplate make and you're like, that's a tricky one, because I think you can only do that for the people that you're used to cooking for, right? But if you're going to cook for someone new or like
Then it's a
something
bit
different,
tricky.
then it's tricky. You always want to put
All right.
just a little bit. Yeah,
So you do say that when it comes to steaks and stuff, coarse salt is better than fine salt.
I would say that.
It makes the meat more tender.
More tender, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So this one says, quick question here. How are you? Himalayan salt, is it good for our health? It is.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's because of the state that it's in and how it's processed. So it's more often healthier, and there's less sodium actually in Himalayan salt, like original Himalayan salt, than there is in the normal sea salt that we're used to finding in the shops or on the shelves somewhere.
I was actually about to say, I think it's one of the most recommended healthiest salts.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one can use.
And it's more expensive because of that
It is
reason.
expensive. It is expensive.
Yeah.
But then now people see Himalayan salt, and the next thing they're thinking, you know what? These days people are in salt, so bath in this salt, bath in that salt, and it's actually amazing in the kitchen. But you should,
Yeah.
you should try it.
It's amazing everywhere, it's a blessing. Salt is a blessing. Pane umwe munhu akambonditanza sauti chapera ndikati ewe pasi panapa zvinhu zvinofana kunge zviripo ka
Hazvikuzopera.
Oh,
Right, Shingi, what's your what are your handles? What's the WhatsApp group number?
all right. So guys, you can catch me on my mobile. That's 0774 410 008. I'll repeat that, 0774 410 008. Just send me a message. I can add you to the WhatsApp group, and you can join all the others. There's about 650 people now, so
Oh, wow.
it's such a buzz. And I promise you, it's one of those groups that's also nice because you don't get nonsense messages or like any random messages. So that's a plus. People are very professional
Yes,
there.
that's
You can
nice.
also catch me on Instagram at the Chef Life of Shingi, and you can catch me on Facebook as the OK Chef ZW.
Right, and you said next week we're going to be talking about?
Next week we're going to be touching into acid. So this is your stuff like lemon juice, your vinegars.
Ooh,
your,
fancy.
I know I'm terming it acid because some of them are actually more alkaline. That's the opposite, right? Yeah, but the tastes, the sort of vinegary stuff. That's what we're talking about next week, and it's termed acid. Yeah.
Right, so his name is Chef Shingi, and he's an ultimate Braai Master South Africa participant and an entrepreneur, operates a business called Outdoor Kitchen Chef. That's OK Chef ZW. So, right, you're going to be linking up with him again next week. Shingi, it's always a pleasure having you here.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for coming through. And we are Star FM sounding